Okay, so I have started the recording. And I hope you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Just to confirm. Very good. So, okay. So while people join, we have been discussing recursion for the last couple of classes. So if you guys have any questions regarding recursion, please ask them. Yes, Ozar, you want to say something?
यस सर। सर, जब हम रिकर्जन में फंक्शन को कॉल करते हैं उस फंक्शन के अंदर ही, तो अगर हम उसको एंड नहीं करेंगे तो वो इन्फिनिटली टाइम रन होगा ना?
Yes, it will try to run infinitely. Any other question? Basically, when we call recursive function, every call creates a stack frame, right? Yes, yes. Even if it's not a recursive call, I mean, every function call creates a stack frame. Basically, stack frame refers to the area allocated on the stack for that function's local variables, okay, which include its arguments, all its local variables which have been declared inside the curly brackets, and there are a couple of other things also which you will study in more advanced courses. Okay, so basically, I mean, more advanced courses, you might even, I mean, just as well know them right now. One of those addresses which is like, I mean, one of the things which is stored on the stack frame for each function, apart from its local variables, including its arguments and variables declared inside the curly brackets, is the uh, return address. Okay, so the address, each function, after doing its work, it has to ultimately return the execution flow to wherever it was called. Okay, so wherever it was called in the code, just like data has addresses, similarly code has also addresses. Okay, every instruction in the memory has an address. So every function call on the stack frame, it would store its local variables as well as its return address. Okay, the address where it will take the execution flow back, which means the address where it was called from. Okay, that's why, I mean, that's how each function remembers where to return to. Since stack is last in first out, it starts executing from the most recently called function. Starts returning. Okay, don't use the word executing for the stack. Stack doesn't get executed. Code gets executed. Stack is just to store data. Okay, so we can say that it starts destroying the frames starting from the most recently called function. Okay, which means that most recently called function will return first of all. Is it clear to everybody? Okay. Any other question? Sam, what do you mean by multiple recursions? Calling the main function more than once. Okay, that is a very opportunistic question because that's exactly what we were going to discuss today, unless there's any other question. Okay, it seems there's no other questions. We will come back to today's topic, and today we'll continue with recursion, but we will just see another problem that can be solved by recursion. And let me share my screen with you guys. No, forget about some. We are going to do something much more interesting. Recursion 2.cpp, recursion 3.cpp. Okay, so do this print array. That's what we did last time. Okay. So can you people see this screen, the terminal? Okay, good. So I think you guys have heard of Fibonacci sequence, no? Oh, don't ask us questions until what we will do. You should be like starving only for the knowledge. So whatever knowledge is provided, you should be happily accepting it. So okay, so
सर
who
ये
will tell me?
करना भी पड़ता है फिर
तो ये करना ही तो अच्छी बात है. जितना आप लोग करेंगे उतना आप लोगों को बेहतर आएगा. Computer science programming is all about practice. So whatever you like you study, you should always practice it, and the more you practice, the better you will get at programming. Okay, you might read all the book from page to page, cover to cover. You might listen to all the lectures that we have recorded so far many times, but you will be still less knowledgeable than somebody who has been programming it throughout. Okay? So if you are worried about the finals, don't worry about the finals. The finals will be much better than the midterm. Okay, so don't worry about the finals, and don't worry, like the main topics that you will be asked in the exam, you will have covered them thoroughly by the time the exam comes. Practice sessions and code. Your practice sessions, I'm giving you these assignments. Okay, so consider them as practice session. If you need more practice questions, I have told you many times that you should go and look at the questions at the end of the chapter. Okay, once you don't find practice questions in the questions at the end of the chapter, then you come to me, sir, we haven't found any practice questions. Now give us. Then I'll give it to you. But before that, please try to go through the questions at the end of each chapter to see whether you can solve them or not. Okay. Okay, so who will tell me what is Fibonacci sequence? Yes, but describe it like to your fellow students to tell them how do these numbers come into being?
Sir, the sum of the two preceding numbers?
Yes, so this is a sequence. Let me type it here in the terminal. This is a sequence where the sequence, sequence is a series of numbers, okay? So you have many kinds of sequences. So this is a Fibonacci sequence, is a sequence of numbers where the first two numbers are, what are the first two numbers? in the Fibonacci sequence? 0 and 1. Actually 0 and 1, no, usually we say it's 1 and 1. So the first two numbers are 1 and 1. And then every next number is obtained by adding the previous two numbers. Okay, so 1 and 1, and the next number we obtain is adding these two previous numbers 2. Okay, and the next number we obtain is adding the previous two numbers. So last two numbers are 1 and 2, 3. Okay, next number again we obtain by adding the previous two numbers. So it is 3 plus 2, 5. Okay, next again we obtain by adding the previous two numbers, 8. Okay, and next is 13, and so on. Okay, so like many sequences, this is also an infinite sequence of numbers where we can basically generate each number by adding the previous two numbers. Okay, and we start by taking the first two numbers as 1 and 1. Okay, so if this is Fibonacci sequence, then the good thing or the best thing about Fibonacci sequence is that we can define each. So every one of these numbers is called Fibonacci number. Every one of this number is called a Fibonacci number. So this is the first Fibonacci number, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth. Okay. Depending on whether you start counting from 0 or 1. So every number can be assigned an index. So the good thing about Fibonacci numbers and what we are studying in class these days is that each Fibonacci number can be defined in a recursive manner. Okay, because every Fibonacci number is sum of previous Fibonacci numbers, previous numbers which are also Fibonacci numbers. So Fibonacci n is equal to Fibonacci n minus 1 plus Fibonacci n minus 2. Okay, so this is like a recursive definition of Fibonacci numbers, or a recursive way in which we can generate each Fibonacci number. Okay, so n here is the index of the Fibonacci number. Okay, so let's say do you guys want to start indexing from 0 or 1? We can choose a convention here. 1. Okay, if you want to start indexing from 1, then we say this is the first Fibonacci number, so this is the first. I'll just distance them a little so that I can meet them. Okay. And this is the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Okay, so these are the indices of the Fibonacci number, and each Fibonacci number can be written recursively as Fibonacci of the previous two, by sum of the previous two Fibonacci numbers, which are also generated using Fibonacci. Okay, and if fib of 1, I mean we can describe it here as Fibonacci index, or is equal to 1 if n is equal to 1, or where is or is it n equal 2. Okay, or I should perhaps write them in inverse order. Let's say write it like this. N is equal to 1 if n is equal to 1 n is equal to 2. Otherwise, it is equal to the sum of previous two numbers. Okay, so if somebody, I mean, and this n is the index of the Fibonacci number. So Fib1, it means the first Fibonacci number is 1, and Fib2 will also, it means the second Fibonacci number, which is also 1, and Fib3 would be the sum of Fib n minus 1 and Fib n minus 2. Okay, is it clear, the recursive definition of Fibonacci? So whatever index you prefer, you can modify the definition, I mean, the definition according to that. Okay, it doesn't matter whether we start with 0 or 1. I mean the index with 0 or 1. What matters is that we should be able to generate all the Fibonacci numbers. So you want me to repeat it again? You can see the Fibonacci number, right? This is, let me put 9 numbers. So these are line numbers 4. We have the series of Fibonacci numbers. Each Fibonacci number, here like for example the sixth Fibonacci number is 8 and it is the sum of the previous two Fibonacci numbers. Okay, so the sixth Fibonacci number is the sum of fifth Fibonacci number and the fourth Fibonacci number. Okay, similarly the fifth Fibonacci number, it is in turn the sum of third Fibonacci number and the second Fibonacci number. Okay, so this is basically what line number 8 is telling us, that every Fibonacci number is the sum of the previous two Fibonacci numbers. Okay, so this is like a recursive definition, and for every recursive definition we have to have a terminating condition, otherwise it will continue to go on forever. Okay, so the termination condition for this Fibonacci, recursive definition of Fibonacci sequence is that if n is equal to 1 or n is equal to 2, then a Fibonacci number is equal to 1. Okay, which means the first and the second Fibonacci numbers are equal to 1. Okay, so line number 7 is basically a terminating condition. It tells you that this is the first, n is equal to 1 means the first Fibonacci number. Okay, so the first Fibonacci number is 1. Okay, for the first Fibonacci number we do not need to add the previous two numbers, because before the first Fibonacci number there are no two previous numbers, so it doesn't make sense to add the previous numbers of the first Fibonacci number which do not exist. Okay, so we write it directly that Fibonacci number, first Fibonacci number is equal to 1, which means n is equal to 1, then Fib 1 is equal to 1, and the second Fibonacci number, n is equal to 2, is also equal to 1. Okay, so this reads as Fibonacci of n is equal to 1 if n is equal to 1 or n is equal to 2. Is it clear? Okay, good. So who is going to help me or guide me write this function Fibonacci recursively? So, okay, Alishba, if you have understood, you kindly guide me. Let me write the prototype of here int fib int n. Here we go. So this function will be called here in main, and we will pass it. Let me call it cout. Okay, so here it should give the correct Fibonacci number, and here we are inside this function. We need to write this function. Okay, so if you are not sure, then who else can help me guide me, right? This function. Okay, Mohammad Fareh. Or Mohammad Fareh, if you, Uzair, you want to try? Oh, Mohammad Fareh, you have been like regularly active, so if you permit, I mean, you raised your hand first, so you have obviously the first priority. But if you permit, we'll give somebody else a chance. Is it okay, Mohammad Fareh? Okay, thank you very much. So, Uzair, do you want to try?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please go ahead and tell me what should I write.
Sir, the first thing is that from where we want to start, from index 0 or from index 1.
Okay, let's say we want to start from index 1. I mean, follow whatever is written on the screen so that nobody gets more confused than they already are. Okay, so let's say we start from the index 1, just like it is written on the screen on line number 5.
If
Okay, if
n
n
is equal to
equal
1
mm,
or n is equal to 2,
mm,
sir, close the braces.
mm,
Now curly braces, return
return
n.
n.
Now after that, sir, else after means outside the curly braces.
So I close the curly brace.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Else curly braces,
Mm,
return
mm.
fib n minus 1.
Sorry, you said return?
Yes, sir.
Okay, return fib
n minus 1,
n minus 1
close the braces, sir,
plus
fib
fib
n minus 2.
n minus 2.
And sir, close these fib n minus 1 plus fib n minus 2 in separate parentheses. Means after return, start the left parenthesis, and before the
Okay.
semicolon, place one another.
Okay. If you want me to do this,
Yes, sir.
okay. This equals to, I mean, it's same thing whether you put them or not, but okay. Good. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, so let me close this else bracket for you here. Okay. So shall I run it? Is it good to that?
Yes, sir. I think it will work, inshallah, sir.
Okay, good. We try it. So G++ recursion 3. The fifth Fibonacci number is 8. Okay, so let's see what was the fifth Fibonacci number. It is 5. There is a slight problem in the code. Line 13 should be return 1. Very good. So there here, I think you perhaps made a typo. Instead of return n, it should be return 1. Okay, is it clear with that? Because in the definition it says that
yes,
fib
sir.
of 1 n is equal to 1 and is equal to, it should be 2, so we call it 1. Okay, so we run it again. Oops, it's 5 again. What is going on? One, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, fifth is 5. Yeah, it's correct. Okay, so it gave us this fifth one is 5. Okay, and here on line number 4 also, line number 4 and 5, the fifth Fibonacci number is 5. Okay, so we'll just run it with a couple of more inputs to verify really that it is working. So let's say 15th. So 15th is a little far away. We'll just verify this 8th one, whether it is correct or not. So, okay, so 7th number is 13. So 8 should be 13 plus 8, which is 21. Okay, and that's what it gave us, 21. Okay, so it seems to be working correctly. Is it clear to everybody, this code? What about others? Two people out of 30 something is quite small. Anybody who is still like confused, doubtful, not clear about what's going on?
Sir, pursuing on mean?
What do you mean pursuing on me?
कोड के बारे में आप कह रहे हैं?
जी, code, the working of the code. Fibonacci number, how we can write Fibonacci number, a function that calculates the nth Fibonacci number recursively.
Sir, it's quite confusing.
What are you not clear about? And Simon, what are you not clear about? Hmm?
Sir, please explain it a little bit again. Then maybe it will be clear.
Okay, so I'll repeat this Fibonacci number. Let me put line numbers. Okay, so first of all, let's discuss the trivial cases. Okay, if I call fib 1, it will give me the first Fibonacci number. Okay, so the first Fibonacci number is 1. So this function will return me 1. Is this clear? Sam and Saleh? Come on, you guys should participate, respond if you are like you confused
Yes,
about
sir.
something.
Sir, it's clear.
Okay, Sam, to you too. Okay. How about if I call fib of 2? It should give me the second Fibonacci number. So the working of this function, if you see the code, it checks if n is equal to 2, it will return 1. The second Fibonacci number is also 1. Is it clear? That fib 1 and fib 2, they will both return 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and okay, let's move up further. For anything other than 1 and 2, if I call fib n, it will basically give me the sum of fib n minus 1 and fib n minus 2. Okay, that's clear from the code, I hope. That anything other than 1 and 2, it will return us the sum of fib n minus 1 and fib n minus 2. Okay, so let's say we passed it n is equal to 3. I called fib 3. Okay, so fib 3, it will check this condition. It will check this condition. N is not equal to 1, n is not equal to 2, so it will come in else. Okay, so it will call fib n minus 1, which in this case is 2, and fib n minus 2, which in this case is 1. Okay, so fib 3 will return me the sum of fib 2 and fib 1. Okay, so fib 3 is basically returning me the sum of fib 2 and fib 1, and fib 2 and fib 1 we've already seen that they both return us 1. Okay, so fib 2 and fib 1, they will both return us 1, and fib 3 will return us the sum of fib 2 and fib 1, which will be 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Okay, so we'll return 2 here. Okay, and fib 3 will return us 2, which is correct because the third Fibonacci number is 2. Is it clear? Okay, good. Simon, I hope you are also following. So fib 3, it works. So let's say we call fib 4. Okay, so fib 4, what will it do? Again, 4 is not equal to 1 and 2. So what it will do is it will go here. So it will call fib n minus 1 and plus fib n minus 2. So fib n minus 1 is like fib 3 because n is 4, and fib n minus 2 is fib 2. Okay, so fib 4 will return us the sum of fib 3 and fib 2. Okay, and we just saw that fib 3 was 2 and fib 2 was 1. Okay, so fib 4 will return us the sum of fib 3 plus fib 2, which will be 2 plus 1, it will return us 3. Okay, so fib 4 returned us the sum of fib 2 and fib 3, which is 3. Similarly, fib 5, it will return us the sum of fib 4 and fib 3, okay, which is 3 and 2. So fib 5 will return 5. Similarly, fib 6, it will return the sum of fib 5 and fib 4. Okay, fib 5 and fib 4 are 5 and 3. So fib 6 will return us their sum, which is 8. And this way, it will work for any n that we pass it. Is it any better? Okay, how about you, Sam? Let me see if I can find a graphical image. Give me a minute, I'll try to find a graphical image. So I'll basically Actually, this is a video, but I hope you guys will see it in your off time. But just to give you an example, I'll share this screen with you guys. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So this is like Fibonacci number. You can see here the last line of this function in green here. We are talking about this returning fib n. It returns us fib n minus 1 plus fib n minus 2. Okay. So on the right, we have basically called here fib 5. So fib 5, it will return us the sum of fib 4 and fib 3. Okay, the second level of the tree as we go down from the top. Okay. So fib 5 will call fib 4 and fib 3. Okay. It will call them both, but first of all, it will call fib 4. Okay. When fib 5, it calls fib 4. Fib 4 internally, it will call fib 3 and fib 2. Okay. It will call both fib 3 and fib 2. And first of all, it will call fib 3. Internally, it will call fib 3, and fib 3 internally, it will itself call fib 2 and fib 1. Okay. So this way, fib 3 will call fib 2 and fib 1, and in our case, we have written that if fib 2 and fib 1, they should both return 1. Okay. Fib 2 and fib 1, they will both return 1, and fib 3, it will basically return their sum. Okay. So fib 3 will return 1 plus 1, 2, okay, within F4. Now fib 4, it had called fib 3, which has returned 2, but it had also called fib 2. Okay. So it will now call fib 2. So fib 2 will return 1. So fib 3 return 2, fib 2 return 1. So fib 4, it will return the sum of both. Fib 4 will return 2 plus 1, 3. Okay. So it will return, fib 4 will return 3 in fib 5. Now fib 5 had called fib 4 first, and then it had called fib 3. Okay. Fib 4 has returned, and then fib 3 will be called. Fib 3 will be called, and internally fib 3, it will call fib 2 plus fib 1. Okay. Fib 2 will return 1, and fib 1 will also return 1. Okay. So fib 3 will return their sum, 1 plus 1 equal to 2, and fib 3 will return this 2 here into fib 5. So fib 5, which had called fib 4 plus fib 3, fib 4 had returned 3, and fib 3 has returned 2. Okay. So fib 5 will return the sum of these two both functions, 3 plus 2 equals to 5. Okay, is it clear? Okay, good. So if this is clear, then okay, so that's all that you need to know about recursion. And as I said, your next assignment will also be on recursion, so you will get plenty more practice in your assignment. Yes, Uzair, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Sir, why can't we use return n in the if condition? Why
Oh,
it is
because
giving the wrong?
you can't use return n because if you let me share the other screen. Okay, I hope you can see your terminal. It should not return n because n is the index, okay? And when n is equal to 2, index is equal to 2, okay? So n is equal to 2, it should not return n. N is equal to 2, it should return 1. Because we have, according to our definition, the second index, the number on the second index is 1. I think what you are saying may be correct if you start with 0. If you start with first number equal to 0, then returning n might be appropriate.
Sir, we return 1 because on the first and the second index we both have 1, 1, right?
Yes, yes. That is exactly the reason. If n is equal to 0, return n. No, Usman Tahir, it's not this. Uzair, if you start, we have taken first two numbers of the sequence as 1, 1. Okay? If you take the first two numbers of the sequence as 0, 1, then I think the code will be written the way you are saying. Yeah, if that's it, as Usman has written. In that case, it would be if n equal to 1 and n equal to 0, then you should return n. Yes, Salih.
Sir, the return value that we have right one, it all depend upon the index numbers from where we started it. Whether from 0 or 1, according to that we will give the return value. Like here
Yes,
it is return equal to 1 we have given here.
yes, yes. So I don't know what is the exact correct Fibonacci sequence. So what I had heard was it started with 1, 1. So that's why we wrote it like this. Okay. But if it starts with 0, then it would be, and the code would be written as Usman Tahir and Uzair are saying. Okay. Any other question that's in anybody's mind? Thank you, Usman Tahir. And our knowledge has like greatly increased today, and we'll be eternally reconnaissant or thankful for this. Anybody else has got any question or comment? Okay, so if you are guys not asking any questions, then despite Usman Tahir's best attempts to distract us, where have you guys heard this Fibonacci sequence or series somewhere else? Okay, okay, Saleh. So yeah, so you write code according to whatever sequence you are talking. I mean, using. Okay. CS131. Okay, in lab. Okay, good, good. So apart from the course, have you guys heard anything about this sequence? Very good, Muhammad Farah. It's applied everywhere in nature. Okay. So there are a couple of programs or documentaries on YouTube. I'll send you the links after this class. So please watch this, and it is like a very beautiful explanation or expression of how mathematics captures nature. Okay, how everything in our universe is so amenable or so like easily, not easily, but it's described by mathematics, everything. Okay, so why is it that mathematics can so easily capture the laws of nature? Okay, so that is like, as an engineer, as a scientist, you should be always pondering about these things, thinking about these things, that like Usman Tahir says, maths is the language of the universe or the nature. Okay, but why is math the language of universe? What is so special about maths, and what is so mathematical about the universe? Okay, so I'll send you guys the links in. I think I'll be able to find the documentaries on YouTube, and you will see that, as Muhammad Fari said, it is found in like everything in nature, almost everything in nature. You find the Fibonacci series. And yes, this is also a very good suggestion by Usman Tahir that there's a series called Cosmos. It was first, it was first broadcasted, I think, in 70s or 80s. At that time, it was hosted by this famous scientific writer called Carl Sagan. I'll write the name here. Okay, so it's called Cosmos, and then recently it has been rebroadcast by BBC, I think, and this time the host was, as Usman Tahir said, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is also a very famous scientist. I don't know, I think he's a physicist, or I'm not sure. But as an engineer, and as scientist, you guys should be always looking out for these explanations where they tell you how everything in nature or everything in universe works. Okay? So the okay, Space Time Odyssey, it's a film, I think, right? Or is it a series? Yeah, so I think it's called Space Odyssey. Uh, so yeah, but what was it again? So you guys have like distracted me. Yes, the good and the bad thing about computer science is that it's not one of the natural sciences. Okay, natural sciences are those sciences that deal directly with nature. Like physics deals with the motion, gravity, etc. Okay, astrophysics deals with these planets, motions of planets, rocket space path planning, etc. Biology deals with directly animals, how nature animals evolve in nature, etc. Chemistry deals with these chemical reactions that are happening at a lower level in nature. Okay, at a micro level, we are all made up of different chemicals, and different chemicals interact with each other. We and everything in the universe. So these sciences are called natural sciences because they deal directly with nature. Computer science, fortunately or unfortunately, does not deal directly with nature. Okay, so that's a bad thing about computer science. The good thing about computer science is that all of these natural sciences, now they need computer science. Okay? So computer science is being used by all of these natural sciences, whether you are a biologist, whether you are a physicist, whether you are a chemist, or whether you are an astrophysicist. All of these sciences are using computer science. Okay, so you, as a computer scientist, though computer science does not deal directly with nature, but you will have ample opportunities to deal indirectly with nature through these other sciences, because these other sciences, they will be using your programs, your algorithms to model or capture their systems. Okay, so that's like the good thing about computer science, that even not being a natural science, you can interact with all these natural scientists. First, computer physics is a mathematics. Very good, very good. That's also correct, that every science basically evolves from other sciences. Okay, so computer science is perhaps the most recent of these sciences, and since there was no computer science before computer science, so there were no computer scientists. Okay? As Muhammad Fari said, all of these earlier pioneers of computer science, they were mostly mathematicians and physicians. Okay, so Alan Turing, I think it's ALAN. Alan Turing was a mathematician. I don't know whether. Tell me some other pioneers. The names of some other pioneers. Alan Turing is one of them. Let me write the correct spelling. Von Neumann, very good. Von Neumann was a giant of computer science. Who else? Okay, doesn't matter. You will discover them slowly as you progress in your degree. Okay, so you will see all these pioneers. They basically like set up this field for you. Okay, so if you guys want to leave, then again, uh, will we study Turing machine in C? Yes, I think there is a course called Theory of Automata in which you guys will study Turing machines. Okay, so we'll continue this discussion throughout your degree career. But since now some people are trying to leave, so I'll just summarize with this last sentence. There's always be curious about nature and try to discover how mathematics captures this natural laws, natural phenomena, and you will be like using many of them in your programs in computer science. So I'll send you guys links by mail to different videos where you will be able to see this Fibonacci series in action. Okay, so you guys have already started marking your attendance. Okay, so mark your attendance and thank you very much and see you guys on Monday. I'll stop the recording and I'll leave now. Don't worry about the finals. Just keep practicing and it will be all right.